I get this call from a US number. I think, oh, fuck.
Scam.
Answer it. Hey, Ryan, Roger Penske here. Oh. Hello, Mr. Penske. Happy to hear from you. Just blew my mind. So I had Roger on the phone for 5-10 minutes or whatever. Now, I was told before this surgery that you should be fine. Should be. So I took notes on a piece of, I used to have this obsession with these big lined Post-it pads. I used to write everything on them.
Yeah.
And I wrote all these notes and then proceeded to send a long text message to DJ, Steve Brayback, and Campbell Little, who was working for us at the time, saying, just had first contact with Roger Penske, took a photo of my notes, said, just in case anything happens, here's his number, here's his email. He wants us in the States in the next 2 weeks. He's going to send the jet to get us. This is serious.
Fucking hell, that's massive.
So I drove myself like a fucking idiot, driving to Greenslopes, bloody go in. And I remember being in the anaesthetist bay in theatre, saying to the anaesthetist, hey, look, do you know who Roger Penske is? Yeah, rings a bell. Do you remember the red and white Indy cars when IndyCar used to be on a Gold Coast? Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, he just called me and he wants me in the States in 2 weeks. Try not to fuck this up. And then when I woke up, oh, you're good. And then, and the first thing, I remember the first thing when I woke up and when I got the phone back, I was immediately texting Steve, DJ Campbell, going, okay, well, what are we doing? How are we going to do this? So we then flew. I turned down the jet, which DJ to this day still hasn't forgiven me for.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that.
And I've had a lot of people who are close to Roger and have been with him 20, 30, 40 years have said, you're the only person who's ever turned down the jet. Like, don't change what you're doing.
Right.
What was your theory behind turning down the jet? To fly commercial, so it was on your terms, or what was the?
Well, he offered to cover the cost for us flying commercial, and I ended up flying us economy, charging him economy, and upgrading us to premium out of my own pocket. I just thought that there's no way knowing we could start a relationship here if I'm taking the piss on day one. Like, come on.
Okay.
And I think it was respected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, DJ still hasn't forgotten it.
Yeah.
DJ hasn't forgotten that. So we flew 2 weeks. I was in intense.
You probably put
pain.
DJ in a spot though where he could afford to pay it. So
well, true.
Don't forget that one.
Yeah, there's a few. I need to be on probably sound check number 3 before I tell more of that story. But there's a lot more to that story. But interestingly,
doesn't have to be the only pod.
It's part 2, mate. That's coming in part 2.
Part 2, and we'll start after sound check number 3.
Yeah.
But we flew 10 days later. I was in intense pain. So as soon as we landed in the States, I basically stayed in the hotel for a few days. Campbell went and saw Marcus and went and spent an afternoon with Marcus getting all the intel because they'd already engaged with Marcus.
Right. So it's clear at this point Marcus was a must-have if this was going to happen.
Absolutely. And this is 2013. This is the end of 2013. So Marcus was already very much on the radar. Tim Cindric had already read the ops manual, which is more than what half a pit lane have done. And we went into this meeting. We had shirts made with DJR logo embroidered on them, and we all looked the part. We all were wearing RM Williams boots and belts and black slacks and these nice shirts. We all looked the part. So we went to the NASCAR Hall of Fame as a group the day before. Then on the Friday we went to Mooresville, sat in the boardroom, which had a half-scale IndyCar on the wall from their wind tunnel. A wind tunnel model, which was pretty cool, and all these trophies like the Milwaukee Mile, just the big, how you go on trophies. Like it was pretty serious. So we got a tour of the place, then back to the boardroom. RP comes in. We spend effectively the day with them, and what at the time, and you probably remember this, I was always DJR team spokesperson. I was very much behind the scenes, under the radar, didn't want anyone to know I existed, was still running my political consultancy, trying to get shit done.
Yeah.
And in this meeting with Roger and Tim, I was the one answering all the questions, which is not the dynamic that we'd set up. I was kind of hoping that Campbell would take the lead, DJ would take the lead, because Roger knew who Dick was. That was part of the reason why it was talked to us. They wanted to be with Ford. So they had the option, instead of going into supercars, they could have run the Ford GT LMP program. So they had, which ended up being run by Chip Ganassi. So they had the option to do that, but they chose supercars instead. Roger has always maintained that he goes racing in the markets where he has business. So motorsport is the marketing arm of his business operations. And basically they were talking to us after they met with us Tim Cindric and Jamie Allison, who was Mark Rushbrook's predecessor as the head of motorsport for Ford Performance. They came to Homebush, the last event, and they met with Tickford as well after that because they wanted to be Ford. That was one of the decisions that they made early on. So they had three options, us, Tickford, and then their first hire was John Crennan, formerly of HSV and co-founder of HRT. They basically engaged Crenno to start up a greenfield team because they went, okay, well, Supercars will organise some recs for us and we'll start from scratch. So then they sent Crenno, after this trip happened, come back to Australia, bit of water goes under the bridge, Homebush, everyone's talking about it. Penske are coming to Australia. It's the biggest news story going around, but there's no way they'll go to DJR, but they're going to do something. So then Penske send Crenno to meet with me up here. And I'd never met Crenno before, but they told me, hey, we need you to suss out this bloke for us because we think he's someone who can help us. And he was working for the Kellys at the time still too. He was transitioning out of being the CEO of Kellys. But the whole reason why the thing was set up was because they wanted Crenno to vet me as someone who was a local who they trusted, who Roger knew through his days with Detroit Diesel and had a lot of mutual acquaintances from Crenno's contacts in the automotive world. And it was fundamentally, look, Crenno, suss out this young bloke. We need to know if he's serious. We need to know if we can be a business with him. But then gave me a bullshit line of...
You're thinking it's the other way.
Yeah. So rocked up at this... I think Longhurst actually owns the pub. I think it was Boardwalk Tavern or something like that. Anyway, rock up at this pub, have a long lunch, and we're there for 4 hours, just chewing the fat, talking. And I'm thinking, this bloke is phenomenal. Like, I've only seen this bloke on TV. I've only seen his name. But yeah, no kidding. No wonder he's been so successful.
Yeah. What
a phenomenal human being. And I was very lucky that he then reported back to Tim Cindric that I wasn't a complete fuckwit.
Yeah.
So
went well. You got the gig and they did the deal.
Yeah. So then we were thinking it was for 2014 because all this stuff that was happening at the end of 13. And again, I was
Thank God it wasn't for me.
Thank Christ. But I was wet.
Could have been fun.
I was wet behind the ears and didn't know what I didn't know. But they were talking about 14 and then it went to, okay, we're going to do 15. And I'm thinking, how the hell are we going to get through 2014? How are we going to make this work? So I said to...
And how close was... Because I remember conversations being like, financially the team was still struggling, wasn't it? Was that more the Chaz era? Because as a driver, that's often... You kept separate to that, which you appreciate because you're trying to focus on driving the car. Yeah, but I do remember like talks of, fuck, this is where we might not be... It's not like a month thing, but maybe like we're getting close to this, might not make it.
It was brutal. In 2013 in particular, I would... And Mark Fenning reminds me of this all the time, but we would pay staff weekly. And we knew that if we ever missed a day of payroll, we'd come in on Friday and there'd be no one there.
Yeah.
So payroll on Thursday was the most important day of the week for me. So come Tuesday, I'd go, oh shit, there's not enough cash in the bank to do payroll. And the time payroll was 25.
You got from $6 million in 2000 in the bank.
Six mil in the bank and highly profitable, with decent sponsorship agreements.
To not having enough in a week to pay.
To not having the 25 grand net needed to pay payroll on a Thursday. So I'd come in on a Tuesday, start freaking out and spend the next 24, 48 hours trying to figure out how do we put this money together without me paying? And oftentimes it was one or the other.